Ladies and gentlemen, geeks and nerds, welcome to my brand new 1.14 Wither Skull Farm. And this Wither Skull Farm doesn't need any redstone whatsoever. Oh yes! So let's check this thing out. Before I show you how to build this thing, let's see it in action. So here I am in the killing area. I'll give you a good look at this properly. And here are all the wither skeletons that have dropped down in the last couple of minutes. And then you could just do the old slice and dice. And make sure you've got looting 3 sword. Obviously things like mending and sweeping edge and unbreaking will also help. And then you just come along here and you kill these wither skeletons. And then of course all of their drops will go through these slabs and into these hoppers. And then if we go down here, we have some chests. And here is what you can expect. So 138 skulls per hour. You can get almost 6,000 bones per hour. And 3,500 coal. So I did a test a little bit before recording here, and this is what I did in 10 minutes. So if you multiply that up by 6, that's what you get in an hour, and obviously you get a whole bunch of swords as well. So let's have a look at this thing. Let me go into my camera account and yeah, see this thing in action. So here you can see me chopping away at these with the skeletons, getting their skulls. So let's look around this farm and yeah, see how it works. So as you've seen from my my player point of view, that is the killing zone right there. But if we scoot on up this tube where all of the wither skeletons fall down, here is the spawning platform. So pretty small, but you'll notice that it's covered in these things, wither roses. Now we'll talk about this in a bit later on. But the basic idea here is that we have this spawning platform that is of this particular size, and I'll tell you why in a bit. And basically all of these mobs that spawn in the nether fortress will spawn. The majority of them get killed by the wither roses, so the pigmen get killed, the blazes get killed, and also the skeletons, they get killed, and also the magma cubes. They also get killed by these wither roses, and of course leave all their drops here. You could pick them up, but for this example, I'm not going to do that. And inside the center, we have an iron golem. So the wither skeletons and also the magma cubes are attracted to this guy, so they will run over to him. And because we've got these trapdoors, the wither skeletons think they can get to him, and they run along and they fall down the chute. Sometimes they get stuck right at the end there, but that's okay because other mobs come along and push them in, so it's no big deal. So they fall down into the killing zone, and they fall about 24 blocks, which means they're a one-hit kill when they get down there. And this iron golem is in a particular position, so his eye level is right just above those blocks. And so if any skeletons spawn, they can't see him and they won't shoot him, and then all hell won't break loose because of all the arrows flying everywhere. But as you can see, there's some wither skeletons just spawning in and falling down. And yeah, because the wither roses are killing all the other mobs, it frees up the mob cap, and so we just get a constant flow of mobs. And then of course they fall down this tube into the killing area right here that you've already seen. Sometimes you get the odd mob, like the odd blaze now and again, and the odd small magma cube. Not a lot we can do about that in this kind of small farm, because sometimes what happens is with the blazes, if they're close to the edge, they'll just get nudged in by the wither skeletons as they fall down. But yeah, it's no problem. And as for the small magma cubes, they are small, but they won't fit through that gap. There's a half a block gap there; they won't fit through there, so you are safe. And then just underneath, we have this chain of hoppers that goes all the way around underneath the slabs, and then we just have a few hoppers here that take them into these chests. And I've just locked these bottom ones here just so I could keep track of what I did in my test. So you don't need those, but of course you can expand this. You can have item sorters here, you could destroy the swords, you could have a whole bunch of more extended storage if you wanted to, but I will leave that up to you. Alright, so let's talk about a bit more detail of this thing and build it up at the same time. The first job, of course, is to work out where we're going to build our farm, so head on over to the nether and find yourself a fortress. And then once we have this, we need to condition the area, and that means we need to remove all of the spawnable blocks around the farm so we can focus the mob spawning just inside our farm and nowhere else. That will affect our rates. So what you need to remember is that mobs will spawn inside a 128 block sphere around the player. So when we're in our killing area, in our killing zone, we want to make sure that there are no spawnable blocks inside that sphere. So when you're in the nether, you've got a few options. You can remove all the other blocks, or you can cover them in lava, or you can put down a block like a slab that will stop it being spawnable. So once you've done that in the range that you need to, then you're ready to build the farm inside. Now, in terms of where exactly inside the fortress you can build it, if you imagine a big box that encompasses the whole of this fortress all the way around here, that's called the bounding box. So as long as you build it inside the bounding box, you're good to go. And in terms of height, the fortresses will start at block level 48. So as long as you build it above 48, now the heights can vary. So what I like to do just to make sure is to have a look at the fortress. Let's say, for example, this level right here, we can see that's a level inside our bounding box. So just press F3 and we can see that's at level 57. So that's where we're going to build our platform at level 57 inside this area. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear out all of the other blocks just to build this tutorial up. And then, yeah, I'll bring you back in and then we can build this thing. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to use my logical crafting data pack to clear a perimeter for us, just to make things nice and easy. Link will be in the description if you want to try this one for yourself. Now that you've conditioned the area, it's time to build the farm. So let's start off at the level where we're going to have our spawning platform, which is at level 57. So I'm looking at this block, which is at level 57. So to start off with, at the center, we're going to build the cage for the iron golem. So put down some enchantment tables down first. That's for the iron golem to stand on and make sure his eye level is just the right height. And then just around him, we're going to place a wall just like this and put a trapdoor right there, and then do that all the way around on all four sides. And once you're done, you should have a cage just like this, ready for your iron golem. So now we just need to summon him in and then push him into the center, making sure he doesn't stand on one of the trapdoors. So just give him a nudge and he's on that trapdoor. So let's just push him in and he should fall down any second. There he goes. There he is. Now, if you press F3 and B, you can see his hitbox. And what we want to try and do is try and get him as close to the center as possible. So you can see here is a little bit off center, and likewise this way, yeah, it's a bit off center. So just give him a little bit of a nudge here and there and just see if we can get him into the center. And there he is, nicely centered. And if we look down here, you can see that the red line there is just above these blocks, so that means he's in the right place. So now just go around the outside of this cage on all three levels and add trapdoors all the way around. And with that done, we just need to put the roof on the top of this cage. So get some top slabs and cover the whole thing in these, just like this. Once you have your slabs in place, you need to cover all of this with 2 layers of blocks, with the top block being non-spawnable. And then all the way around the edge, cover both levels with trapdoors, just like this. Before we go any further, I just want to explain why we have this these blocks in this configuration. So obviously we have the iron golem in the center to attract the mobs, as we've seen before, and his eye level is right above that that block right there. So the mobs that can see him will be the 3 tall mobs. So the wither skeleton and also the magma slimes when they're jumping around. But mobs that are smaller than him, their eyesight is a little bit lower, and so when they're down here, they can't see his eyesight like the skeletons, and they won't be able to shoot him. So that's why he's standing on the on those enchantment tables. So obviously we need a gap for the eyesight to stay there, so that's why we just make this as small as we can. And then we have the trapdoors along the bottom row. That's to make the wither skeletons think they can run across and get to him. But obviously, because we've got those closed, he can't. And then the ones above it, that's to make sure that the magma slimes that jump up don't get stuck on top of these bottom trapdoors. So that's why they are there. And then this block on top. So the top block here is just to make sure we don't get any spawns on top of the cage. And these trapdoors here are just, again, to make sure that magma slimes that jump up don't get stuck on these trapdoors. And so when they're attracted to the iron golem, they'll come here and they'll start jumping up against this wall, but then they'll end up falling down and just dropping onto the wither roses that are along the edge here. So that's our iron golem cage all done. So the next thing to do is to build the spawning platform. Our spawning platform starts here at the same level as the bottom of our trapdoors, and so you just need to go around the edge with nether bricks first of all, just like this, leaving a 1 gap in between. The next thing to do is to build out your platform. So you should do this in nether brick. I've done it here in different colors of concrete just to demonstrate. So outside of your ring here, you need to go out 11 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And do that on both sides here, and then join it up and fill all of this in with nether bricks and do it on all 4 sides. Once you've extended out all 4 sides by 11 blocks and filled it all in just like this, the next thing to do is to fill in the corners. So what you do here is, out of this block here, you go along 3, in 1, along 2, and then you should have 4 of these singles, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2, and then 3 again. So obviously build this out of nether brick, fill it all in and do it on all 4 corners. And one little tip is obviously you can see here lots of mobs are spawning, and if you're trying to build this thing with all these mobs it's going to be a bit painful. So what you might want to do is, as you're placing down these blocks, is temporarily put down some non-spawnable blocks on top. So either carpet or redstone will be good, redstone dust, and then that will stop the mob spawning as you're building this thing. And then when you're done, we can remove this to allow the mobs to spawn. And with your spawning platform complete, it should look something like this. And I've put down carpet just to stop the mob spawning, just so they leave me in peace. But if you want to double check you've got your platform in the right place, this long edge along here should be 14 blocks. Then you should have 2. Then you should have 4 singles, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you should have another 2 here, and then 14 across here. So if you double check all of that, make sure this is all made of nether brick, it should be good to go. So the next thing then is to build up a wall on the outside. So build up a wall 3 high. 1, 2, 3 like that. Don't need this bottom one right here. So 3 high like this. Make sure the top block is non-spawnable, so glass is good. And do this all the way around your farm. Now that we've completed the spawning platform, it's time to extend out our drop chute. So here you can see the 1 wide drop chute that's around the iron golem. And so all you need to do now is to build this all the way down a further 22 blocks. So if you start here, this is number 1, and then 2, 3, all the way down. 22 blocks takes you to here. And so this is the kind of shape you should have, these 2 squares. So this one is an 8, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this one is 4 wide. So yeah, just build those all the way down, and then we'll do the collection. Once you finish the tube down, 22 blocks. Actually, the inside one should only be 21 blocks. That should be 1 less, but this should be 22. And then on the inside here, add some bottom slabs. That's so that the wither skeletons can land on those, and then you can hit their feet. So do that all the way around. And then underneath, if you leave 4 blocks and then make a platform, this is for you to stand on and then get entry up into the killing area. And then the final thing to do at this stage is to add some hoppers that go all the way around in a circle. Obviously this one will end up pointing this way, so you end up with a ring of hoppers pointing into each other. And once we've got that done, we can build the collection. Once you have your ring of hoppers, the next thing to do is just to build the killing platform. So here on our floor right here, if you go up 2 blocks and then start creating a floor right here. So I like to put sea lanterns just in the corner, just to keep things nice and lit up. So if we do that all the way along to here, there we go. And last sea lantern right there, that's our killing platform. And then one of the blocks in the center, if you knock that out, and in fact we're going to put a trap door right there so we can climb up, and then have another couple of blocks here with some ladders on. Then you can go up into your killing area, close that behind you, and here you've got access to all of the feats of all of the wither skeletons. And then just down here, last thing to do is to get some hoppers, and you can face a few into your killing platform right here with these, and then have some chests just underneath, let's say here, a bunch of these on top of each other, and then some hoppers going into here. Do that all the way along, as many chests as you like, or you can add your own item sorters, whatever you need. And then we're pretty much done. The last thing to do is to deal with the wither roses. Now the last thing we need to do is to get ourselves a bunch of these wither roses. So I'm in the end, as you can see, and yeah, I've made something up. So this is a couple of designs here that I've seen from 2 people. So this one over here with the Enderman is by Ray Works, and the one over here with the chickens is Il Mango. So I've seen these 2 on their channels. I'll post their videos in the description. But the basic idea here is that on this side we've got a bunch of Endermen that spawn. They try and chase after this Endermite that's in a minecart, and then they fall down this chute down here. And then what happens is, to get the wither rose, we need a mob to be killed by this wither, and when it does so, the mob that dies tries to plant a wither rose on the floor, and then it ends up in this chest. So we've got a bunch of these wither roses right here. So there you go. And on this side, similar concept. We've just got a bunch of chickens that lay their eggs into this dispenser that gets shot out, and when the baby chickens are down there, the wither will see it and try and shoot the baby chicken, and then we end up with a bunch of wither roses in here as well. So there's 2 designs, 2 ways to get wither roses. You need to trap the wither in this kind of formation of bedrock. So you can do that. If you look at Ray Works' video, he shows you how to do that. So there you go. There is a couple of ways to get a bunch of wither roses in survival. So now we've got them, let's get them into our farm and finish this thing off. We're now back from our trip to the nether, and we've got a whole bunch of wither roses. So now it's a case of taking away all of these carpets and replacing every single one of them with a wither rose. So once you've done that, this thing is pretty much done. And now with the wither roses in place, you can see these mobs are now dying. There's a whole bunch of stuff, all their drops left on the floor. So yeah, this farm is working pretty well. So now if we go down here, you can see these mobs have fallen down our chute. And yeah, we can go into the killing area as we did at the beginning. We close up this after us and we can go choppy choppy on the feet and then we can grab their heads. So one thing I should mention before we finish up is that this has been recorded in the latest snapshot, which is 18W50A as we stand. Now of course things might change, so let's wait and see what happens with the release of 1.14, but hopefully this will all still work. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get out of there. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then please hit that like button, and if you've got any comments or suggestions, then get it in that comment section, and if you're new, then feel free to subscribe. Alright my geeks, until next time, I will see you later.